Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Gamer Weekly. With me today is Lee and Jesse from Alientrap. Thank you guys so much for coming onto the show.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, how's it going? It's good to be here.
So, you guys actually, compared to the other people I've had on my show, you guys actually have a pretty extensive library compared to others where everybody's working on a magnum opus that's taken them like 8 years to create, and you guys are on your ninth and 10th game.
Well, we definitely kind of did that. We spent 4 years or so on Apotheon and 3 years in Capsized, and I think after Apotheon, we just decided to just make a lot of stuff at once, and that's what we're still doing, I guess.
So do you?
Yeah, we.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, yeah, we definitely have kind of gone through the ringer of longer form projects. Like we said, Apotheon took us almost 4 years to complete, and getting locked into a project for that long is definitely, it can be a little repetitive and downing. So it's nice to branch off and do separate projects.
Yeah, we kind of realized that with Apotheon, how I was just kind of getting sick of Apotheon, and I think that's when I started. That's when I started another project called Autocraft, and that really helped me work on Apotheon because I could take a break, put my mind off of it. When Apotheon wasn't doing so good, I could switch to Autocraft and back and forth, and we've kind of kept that going till now, I guess.
And the games that you guys have been working on, or that you worked on before, like Apotheon and Capsized, were critically acclaimed as well. So I feel like the time that you guys put into it was probably pretty worth it.
Well,
Yeah,
Capsize came out at a different time. I feel like I don't know if that game would be as critically acclaimed now, but it. I think at the time we made a game when it was great to make a game like that.
yeah. Capsize was back before Steam Greenlight and all that kind of stuff. So it was the ecosystem was a lot smaller.
It was a lot harder to get onto Steam, whereas now it seems like anything can go on Steam.
It's a lot easier to get on Steam now, but I feel like breaking out from all of that chaff can be really difficult.
Yeah, I remember when we submitted Capsize to Steam, the like Valve actually put some effort into changing the graphic. Like they made us a graphic for Capsize, and we were on the front page for like a week, just because we were a new game, and it's the complete opposite now.
And I feel like you guys also got a lot of help from like Humble Bundle and even like Indie Box, where you actually had a collector's edition of like Apotheon, and I felt like it really helped push the name out even further of people like, oh, what's this game? This game looks really interesting.
Yeah, that definitely helped with Capsize. We were in a humble bundle with Capsized, and I think the timing of that was right before we finished Apotheon, so it really helped us actually finish Apotheon.
And that
And
was a
the indie
great
box,
long tail on Capsize because that humble bundle for Capsize, like Capsize has been out for you know a year or two already,
or at
and it
least
was
like,
with other games
yeah,
that were yeah. So it was a really nice boost to the sales and really kind of helped us finish up Apotheon.
yeah, we got incredibly lucky with that Capsize humble bundle. Uh, and then with Apotheon and the indie box, I was just like I saw the other things that they were producing, and I just really wanted some of that sweet merchandise made for Apotheon. But I still have like the posters they made. I'm using the mouse pad that they made right now, and
Yeah, yeah. I got the Apotheon mouse pad right here.
That's and now too, when you go on IndieBox's website, just about every single one of those boxes are completely sold out. Because I was actually going to get the Apotheon one, and I'm like, oh, cool, it's been gone for a while now. Great, because I just learned about the service this year, and then I saw that, and I'm like, well, never mind. I guess I just won't get that one. So
Yeah, yeah. I have no idea how often they do reprints or anything because they have a pretty quick turnaround time, at least as far as I was aware when we were
well,
getting stuff ready for them.
they stopped doing indie boxes actually.
Oh, did
I
they?
don't know
Yeah.
exactly what they're doing now, but I think that model didn't really work out. I guess it seemed like a really hard thing to do to produce this really detailed box every month.
Well, they were doing like custom art and everything. Like they had their
Yeah,
own in-house painter that did the
and
cover art. It was
the
amazing.
poster that they did was amazing. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's really too bad that they didn't keep up. I guess, but yeah.
yeah, because I want to say I got the last one, or no, I got the second to last one. I think it was Hollow Knight, and I mean, it was really
Oh yeah,
cool,
that
and
one
they
was
gave
really
you like a
nice.
detailed map of everything, which was great because when I was playing it, I'm like, I have no idea where I'm going right now. So
Was it a cloth map?
no, it was like a regular map. It would have been awesome to have a cloth map, but they just did the like the fold out, like what you get back in like PS2 days when you actually got a manual and you can actually fold it out like Grand Theft Auto 3 style. I'm like, whoa,
Yeah,
this thing is huge.
strategy guide.
It comes with the strategy guide.
Yeah,
Uh,
that would help for Hollow Knight, I think.
the strategy guide's actually just one page and it just says get
Get
good.
good. Yeah.
So with your guys' game right now with Wytchwood and Gunhead, it seems like you guys have learned a lot from the past experiences that you've had with making other games where they did take longer. And are you using just like different like pre-built assets that you had from other games and just putting it into it and kind of working off of that, or have you guys been able to find like a more streamlined way of making games since you guys have made so many of them?
Well,
Well,
both of these new games are Unity now, which most of our other games, aside from Modbox and Autocraft, were all in XNA. So that's been a pretty major shift in terms of development.
Yeah, I think all the projects we've had usually started with like a hacky prototype that always was from our other game. Usually, like I started Cryptarch from hacking together shooting into a Apotheon, and then we wanted to make like a spaceship attacking game. And then Modbox came from adding VR to Autocraft, and then expanding from there.
Well,
And then
and even
Gunhead took
Apotheon.
all. Oh
Sorry,
yeah,
even
Apotheon
Apotheon was
was.
also capsized.
Yeah, it really comes like I after I finish a project, I just take it and then I hack random ideas with this giant code base, and then it becomes a new project. With the exception of Witchwood, because that actually just started completely on its own. But Gunhead it came because I made a prototype of I wanted to see what Cryptarch would feel like in 3D. I really wanted to like feel like try an FPS game like it. And then I made a prototype, and that prototype sat around for a while. And then an artist had a 3D artist on the team, Harley, had some free time, so he started trying ideas with it, and it became a project.
Because with Gunhead, it's the sequel to Cryptarch, so and it's a very different style to it. So like, why did you want to go from having it being 2D to going to 3D?
The things that I liked about Cryptarch were I thought could translate to an FPS pretty well. I think Cryptarch, the way we designed it, did a really good job of having really good moment-to-moment action, but there's always a general strategy that you had to have, and the strategy was always different because the levels were procedurally generated in a way that it was like a heist where you have to accomplish goals in a different way each time. And I thought we did the moment-to-moment action pretty well in Cryptarch, like the side-scroller sort of bullet hell kind of movement. But I thought that could just translate to an FPS movement and still have all the other mechanics. And
Yeah,
the prototype worked pretty well for that.
yeah, like because Gunhead kind of started off, like we said, as it's almost a back burner project where we needed, or we had an artist kind of sitting around with not too much to do, and okay, do you want to work on this 3D interpretation of Cryptarch? And it worked really well because Cryptarch, the design didn't really change that much from the transition between 2D and 3D. The moment-to-moment gameplay mechanics are pretty similar.
So
Yeah, I never really thought we'd make a sequel, but I think this is a very just sequel. Like it sort of takes the entire first one and twists it into. It still uses a lot of the same ideas, but it completely puts it into a new perspective, literally.
so why did you want to call it Gunhead instead of Cryptarch 2?
Well, yeah, that was a long discussion of what we're gonna call the name. The name Gunhead is actually the name of the mech from Cryptarch. Like that's the guy's suit name. And we didn't call it Cryptarch that because we thought it just sounded too stupid. Like the name Gunhead just kind of sounds ridiculous. But when it came to name this new title, I we debated calling it something like Cryptarch Prime, although Jesse really hated that. And then we had we thought about calling it Cryptarch 2, but then we thought we're not trying to market to the same people as Cryptarch. Like it has the potential to have a wider audience than just the Cryptarch fan base. I don't think people need to be interested in Cryptarch to be excited for Gunhead. And then so I thought, well, let's just go with Gunhead because names are very hard to figure out. Something that's memorable, something that's not taken, and then matches the style of the game. And Gunhead seemed to work too because just was a little bit more. I don't know. The game's a little bit more ridiculous than Cryptarch in terms of like the excessiveness of uh, like there's rock music playing in the background, there's explosions everywhere. It's very like Doom, the new Doom inspired, where it's just excessive. So that's why the Gunhead name kind of fit.
So does that mean in Gunhead that you can just rip people apart like in Doom, or is it kind of more of like a over the top kind of like Borderlands style? Because I know that like visually it's similar, but like tone wise, is it more on the Doom side?
Oh, you're definitely like jetpacking around, there's like melee attacks and different weapons and explosives and stuff. So it plays a lot faster than something like Borderlands, I think.
Yeah.
But it's not as gruesome as Doom.
No, actually, because it's all everything you're fighting is skull and bones, pretty much. So when you kill them, it's just dust and electricity that flies out. So no blood yet.
Yeah, they're all still cyber skeletons.
Yeah.
I like that you said yet. There's no blood and guts yet.
Well, there hasn't been a need, but we'll see where we take it, I guess. I wouldn't rule that out.
So, with your other project, Modbox, you guys were dabbling in VR. Were you considering doing that as well for Gunhead, or were you just wanting to stick with the more traditional non VR?
Well, with Modbox, it's really fun to work on Modbox because it kind of is a project where I can do any VR stuff I can think of. So every time I think about doing a potential new VR game or VR prototype, I can just do it in Modbox. Like it's a sandbox essentially. It's supposed to be like a game making game. So there's a backlog of VR things I want to try, but they're all waiting until Modbox gets to a point where it can do that. So so yeah, we really like when with the idea with Gunhead, that was so not a VR game in that it's all about fast movement and dexterity, and there's just no way to make it work. It'd have to be a completely different experience as a VR game.
Yeah, having Gunhead, play with the warp to move mechanic would not be the same experience.
No, it'd be terrible. I haven't tried that new Doom, but with the VR Doom, but I can't imagine it works out in the same way.
I find that so weird because I honestly didn't have any trouble playing stuff like Half-Life 2 with just the mouse and keyboard. Like the movement in that was fine.
You mean in VR?
In VR. I
Yeah,
played through almost all of Half-Life 2 with no.
You probably just got used to getting like insanely sick and then just forgot how horrible it felt.
I've actually heard that Doom VFR is apparently it's just really bad, and
that doesn't surprise me.
Same with Fallout 4 VR, where I actually saw someone play Fallout 4 VR and they dipped their head into like one of the walls and just grabbed one of the guns that was locked away, and they're like, it worked.
Yeah, I really don't think these like VR ports. It's just never going to be the way to do it. Yeah, I think the only good, really successful VR port is Super Hot, and they completely redesigned.
Yeah, that's a totally different game.
And it's amazing. Like it's one of the best VR games. But they thought they started from the very start and redesigned a thing. They didn't just, figure out a way for the player to move around and then do the exact same game.
Because it kind of reminds me. This is straying a little bit from, actually straying really far from video games. I just saw like the new Star Wars movie that came out. I'm not going to spoil anything, but what I saw it in was a OmniMax theater. I don't know if you guys know what an OmniMax theater is.
Is that one of those 4D ones where they throw water in your face or something?
No, it's close, but no. It's like sitting in a planetarium, but you're watching a movie.
Oh, weird. It's like a dome,
You're watching a very zoomed in dome. So you walk in and you're like, this is crazy looking. But the thing is, though, the movie was just absolutely enormous. Like if we were watching the lightsaber fights and everything, we'd have to actually like move our head to watch where it was going. So like this is enormous, and then the close-ups be too zoomed in on their face. Like okay, this is weird.
Uncomfortably close.
But like the thing I'm the point I'm getting to, though, is that it didn't feel like it was supposed to be in that theater, and it didn't really feel like they took advantage of it. It was more of just like well, we have the movie, here it is on the dome. It looks weird. Like, if they actually would have taken the time to actually, like, make it a little bit more for it, it would have worked. But,
Yeah.
and that's where I feel like goes on with the VR stuff, is that they're just like, well, people are going to play it anyway. Just give it to them. I doubt anyone's going to complain. And everyone's like, about that. This runs terribly.
Yeah. Well, it's still better than. I'm kind of glad that they're still making Fallout VR and stuff just to get more people into VR. But it's just shitty that that's going to be their first experience.
Right. And I feel like with so much VR going on right now, there hasn't been anything that I feel has told everyone, like, okay, this is it. This is the VR experience that we've all been, like, wanting. You know, we don't have anything that's like a new feel to it, or if we do, like, Superhot works really well, but it's like, well, Superhot already existed. We haven't had like a new IP that can give us the same experience like Half-Life and stuff like that, where we can go, this is it, finally.
Well, games take a long time to make, and I think it's
that
still
is
like
true.
I think it's still a while to make. Like, people were still learning. But that was the biggest criticism I heard of Doom, is that it's like they didn't play all the other VR games that have come out since, VR.
So they're just reinventing the real wheel over and over
Yeah,
again.
they really didn't learn from all the other things. I think people are still really learning. Like, I constantly update Modbox after trying other VR games, because they're like, oh, these guys have figured out a much better locomotion scheme, or this type of new input is definitely going to be more of a standard. And it's kind of like chasing. I don't think standards have emerged yet, but they're definitely coming slowly.
Yeah,
and it'll really help.
And that carries over to the hardware too. Like, all the different hardware sets, like, they're still figuring stuff out. So it's kind of this weird bottom up. No one knows what they're doing yet. And then the user base is still so small that kind of slows experimentation a bit. If people are actually trying to make money off of it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I could drop $400 to $600 on something like that.
And like, I don't have the space.
Right.
Like, I can't,
Like,
where am I gonna put a Vive?
I feel like I really have the energy. I like to, get up. It's a lot different of a. I have to make myself do it rather than just lay on my bed and use the Switch without moving.
Yeah.
I've noticed that when I do play the Switch, that I will I'll just take the controllers, take it off there, put it, dock it up and everything, and then, like, my hands, which it feels really kind of weird but kind of comfortable at the same time. Like, my hands are just, like, as far away from each other as possible, and I'm just kind of playing as, like, the most lazy gamer possible.
Yeah, I didn't think everyone thought it was going to be VR and people were going to be moving around and doing more with video games. And it turns out the more successful one is the thing that you don't have to move at all. And don't even have to put your hands close to another to actually control the game anymore.
Who knew that people actually want to interact less with the game instead of more with it?
Yes, exactly.
So with you guys have another game as well, and it's Wytchhead. And
Wytchwood.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wow. Wytchwood.
So many of our games have, although it does have a lady with a cauldron for a head.
We did talk about Cauldron Head, and I think Wytchhead.
Yeah, that was one of the names.
That will be the sequel, is Cauldron Head, and that one's actually
exactly. the 3D sequel.
Yeah.
It turns out that every 3D sequel that you guys make, it has to have head at the end of it.
Yeah.
So, Apotheon, if you make a sequel for that,
Jarhead. No,
Jarhead. Okay, so for the game that really exists, Wytchwood, from the looks of it, it has a very Apotheon style. I feel like I'm saying that wrong every time I say that, but it has a very
Apotheon?
Yeah. Okay, so that I am saying it right. Okay, I was afraid that I was like, oh wow, this guy doesn't know how to say anything.
Yeah,
but
from the word apotheosis.
So with this game, it looks very similar in a way. Like, art style is very, like, distinctive, I feel like, and has, maybe I was just kind of seeing it just like, it almost kind of looks like a Viking Don't Starve, but I know that it doesn't play like that.
Yeah, the art style. I mean, like Apotheon, it's we were looking at other kind of existing art styles. So Apotheon was obviously Greek pottery, and then for Wytchwood, we decided to go a little more with um, stuff like early Disney animations and that kind of flat painterly storybook kind of mode. So stuff like Mary Blair, who did Sleeping Beauty. Look at the background and stuff like Sleeping Beauty. There are all these kind of really nice minimalist trees and foliage and stuff that kind of come together in this really lovely way. And I think that art style is kind of making a comeback. There's been a bunch of other um, newer animations and even a couple other video games that make use of the same kind of stuff. But it's definitely, we were looking at established art styles and what would fit with this kind of fairy tale type aesthetic we wanted to convey.
So, with the inspiration from the the Disney movies and stuff, how many musical numbers are there going to be?
I mean, that would be
that would be pretty cool. Yeah, I would totally love to have like nursery rhymes or like that kind of
like
those count as musical numbers.
Or like a Gaston sort of musical number.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, that's probably a lot of production work, so
Yeah, and I can't write.
Super unlikely.
I don't know how to write songs. So.
Are there any musical games, like games that are just like, the regular games, but then sometimes they just break out into song? Like, are there any games like that?
Oh, I feel.
Well, not like a musical type of stuff. I mean, sounds great though.
I mean, the closest I can think of is like the ending song for like Portal.
Well,
it's got to be better things than.
Yeah, but I mean, like that's sort of like a musical, right? When that it's conveying story through a song,
right?
It just happens to be at the end of the game and not like interspersed throughout.
I feel like at the end of this, sorry, no. I feel like at the end of this, you guys are gonna like go up to your team. You're gonna be like, "All right, guys, new idea. Hear me out. Musical numbers.
Yeah,
let's go."
Notes down here.
Well, I mean, that sounds. No one's made a narrative musical game, so we really don't need more games in development. So not us, but someone else can do that.
Anyone can have it.
Yeah.
Put your game ideas in the comments. So, like gameplay wise, though, for Wytchwood, like how would you say that the game works exactly?
So it's definitely closer to something like Don't Starve or Stardew Valley and that kind of crafting genre of game. So a lot of games we make are complete 180-degree responses to the previous games. So for Capsized, that was in terms of the art style, that was very art painterly heavy. So for Apotheon, we wanted to do something a lot simpler. So we settled on the Greek playstyle. Cryptarch was an insanely difficult kind of Twitch action shooter. So for Wytchwood, we kind of wanted to switch gears a bit and make something a little more accessible for more people and a little more laid back and more kind of, I guess, atmospheric and something to kind of zone out to play. Yeah, you control a witch and you walk around this kind of creepy fairy tale, Brothers Grimm style forest, and you're collecting magical ingredients and mushrooms and poisonous plants and animals and stuff like that, and you're bringing them together into different potions and spells, and then using that to kind of solve puzzles and challenges. And it's got a little bit of kind of adventure game style narrative where you're coming up against these different problems and quests and stuff and characters, and then using your magic to solve them.
So there's an actual story to it too. It's not like Don't Starve, where it's here's a world, try to survive, see how long you can survive for, and then you die, and then you start over.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we definitely want to do something. It because there is so many crafting kind of sandbox games, and they're all really good in their own ways, Minecraft and stuff like that. But not a lot of them have combined narrative in any kind of real way. That was something we wanted to kind of tackle. I think we could do a good job with, like I said, with this kind of folk tale source material, which lends itself quite well to video game style quests and problems and puzzles and solutions and all that kind of stuff.
So with your guys' games, you said that you do like a 180 every time that you like you finish a game and then when you go to the next project, you're like, all right, let's just do something completely different. So,
Yeah.
just hypotheticals here. When you're done making the like Wytchwood and Gunhead, what do you feel like is going to come next with it?
That musical narrative game sounds pretty great. But really, we like there. I have a few prototypes in the back burner, but nothing that's really good. So it's kind of just a process of make a few prototypes, experiment, and then pick one when the time's right.
Yeah, we all have lists of stuff that we'd like to work on. You know, I got like a notebook full of old ideas that may eventually see the light of day. And yeah, it's mostly just the 180 stuff. You know, it's not always intentional. It's more just, okay, we spent 4 years working on this type of game. Let's change it up and work on something different for another.
Yeah, it's just kind of like you get sick of what you're working on, and so what you work on next is completely different.
Yeah.
And then that's turns out to be the next game.
Well, I mean, I'm really looking forward to it. I feel like we're going to end up with some kind of like brutal doom musical game, which I would play it. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
That would be on my wish list immediately. So so the final question that I have for you guys, I like to ask everybody this because it always has a different response with it. With the games that you're making, what do these games mean to you as a creator?
I'm gonna think for that for a second. I like at least me as an artist, making stuff is just something I have to do. It's you know, it's kind of bizarre. I think it's similar with a lot of creative people. Is you just have to constantly make stuff. It doesn't matter what it is, and actually a lot of the time, as soon as I finish something, I kind of forget about it because I'll go on directly to the next thing. I think that kind of feeds back into why we're always working on so many different projects at once. It's because we're always having to just make new things.
Yeah, I think it's really just I just enjoy making things, and it's a much better game than playing games, really.
Yeah.
So just the process of figuring out how to make like the interface for Modbox, it's you know, something I wake up having dreamt about, and then I have to go and do it. So I think it's kind of like the passion is really just keeping my mind occupied in a sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is like it really is like the best game. It really is about, you know, coming up or finding these challenges and then sitting down for a while and trying to figure out a solution to those, and then executing the solution and then iterating on that, and yeah, so it really is kind of a game in itself.
What advice would you give you guys for like your past self? If you could go back in time and tell your past self about all the experiences that you have, what would be like the most crucial thing you would tell yourself?
I would probably get on Lee's case more to make me a decent level editor.
Yeah, that's
because I spent a lot of time in all of our projects doing level layout and stuff like that with pretty
really
rudimentary
shitty
tools.
yeah. I definitely remember that. I'd say my advice would just be fail. It's pretty cliche, but just to fail quickly in a sense. I think like with not Cryptarch, Capsized, we went really far in development before this guy who approached me and said, "Hey, I want to help play test your game." And I was like, I don't need play testing. I know what my game is, sort of thing. And then we found out the game was terrible. But by that point, it was pretty far in development. So we delayed the release for a long time and actually, got out a good game. But we could have found that out a lot sooner. So just finding out what works, what doesn't is pretty important.
I feel like it's got to be really tough when you're so far into the development process and then someone goes, "Hey, something's not right here," and you just have to go like, just trying to motivate yourself to go, "Okay, I really got to work on this because if I don't, this will be just a complete disaster." So I feel like it's really going to take a whole lot in you to just go, "All right, we need to do something because we got to make this as awesome as possible."
Yeah, you really got to catch issues as early as possible, which can be hard, and it doesn't mean like the development will be really that quickly, but it's a lot better to catch it when it's still solvable, I guess.
So I guess to wrap everything up on a good note, though, the next two games, Wytchwood and Gunhead, did not combine them this time.
Gunwitch.
Gunrich, yeah.
So, yes, Gunwitch.
Like a sandwich. But...
Yes. So, how can more people find out about the game? When do you guys think the game will come out? I know you guys have said 2018, somewhere around there. And then, yeah, how can people find all your other stuff as well? Like, if you want to find it on Twitter and all that stuff.
Yeah, we're trying to share more of development on Twitter. That's kind of why we announced pretty early with Wytchwood and Gunhead. Gunhead's pretty far along, but Wytchwood, we really wanted to get the trailer out quickly, just so we could start sharing GIFs and sharing images, and just trying to be more public with development. So we share on Twitter. We also had the Steam pages up, so we're gonna be updating the Steam pages with like making announcements of developments on the game, which is nice because they have a forum and you can ban people from the forum, and it's really easy to deal with. And then in terms of when they're out, we still don't know. Like I'm very confident that both games will be out 2018. I think it may be Gunhead is more likely in 2018 than Wytchwood, but I think we can get them both out.
Famous last words.
Yeah. So we kind of learned our lesson to not say dates a bunch of times, and I apparently did not learn that lesson well enough.
Only years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can follow our Alientrap website is alientrap.com, and then on Twitter at Alientrap Games.
Yep.
Yeah, and then we also have an Instagram, also at Alientrap Games. Or you can just search for any of our projects on Steam. You have all of our pages up there, even for the games that are coming out.
Yeah, I think we'll be showing the games at various conventions next year too. Just haven't really decided which ones exactly, but we'll definitely be showing them all over the place.
Maybe we'll see you guys at PAX.
Maybe.
Okay, yeah.
I'm actually trying my best to get actually a team of people to go to PAX. So if I go to PAX, I'll make sure to stop by if you guys are there as well.
Yeah, if we make it.
I don't even know what it is.
Which one comes first? Boston is first, right?
I think it's Boston.
Yeah,
that's in March.
In March. Ooh.
That's like right after GDC or right before this.
Yeah, and then South by Southwest is.
Yeah, it's right around the same time.
I'm actually trying to convince my girlfriend, which are like our 5 years coming up, and I'm just like, PAX is around the same time as that. And I'm like, hey, could we go to this maybe?
Not the most romantic.
It's not the most romantic, but
PAX is pretty fun. I always have fun when I'm there.
Yeah, maybe I can get it to work. Who knows? Well, Lee, Jesse, thank you guys so much for coming onto the show. I greatly appreciate it. If anybody out there wants to check out their game, go check out Wytchwood, Gunhead. You can also check out Capsized and many of their other games as well. If you want a whole list of them, if you go on Steam, just click the developer name and it shows a whole list of them by every single one of the games. They would appreciate it. I'd appreciate it. And if you guys want to listen to any more episodes of the show, on SoundCloud and YouTube, there are playlists for every single episode, so you can listen to every single developer I've ever had on the show. Also, real quick, totally sidetrack everything. We just hit 10,000 listens altogether, which I know is not the biggest amount of listens, but I still greatly appreciate it because that's 10,000 more listens than I thought I'd ever get. So thank you guys so much for listening to the show. And once again, Lee and Jesse, you guys are cool. And I look forward to playing Wytchwood and Gunhead. And goodbye, everybody, and have a nice day.
Bye.